Welcome to Estevan TV. I'm at pushgapradio.com.
Pushgapradio.com. Bridging the gap between old school and new school radio. Pushgapradio.com. It's Dallas, baby.
Pushgapradio.com. Hamilton Park, Dallas, Fort Worth.
Hi, from Hamilton Park, Dallas, Fort Worth, it's Pushgap Radio.
Ooh, girl, you can't hear how Dallas, Fort Worth works. This is Jackie.
What up, y'all? This is Jackie
Of Shaka Ford 1 and the main event show.
Goes a little something like that.
Shaka Ford 1 and the main event with me, the Queen B, Jackie Up. Heard exclusively on Push Gap Radio. Giving you 2 scoops.
And goes a little something like that.
PushGapRadios.com in Dallas and Fort Worth. Welcome to another edition of Shaka 4-1 in the main event on PushGapRadios.com. Welcome back to another show, and first and foremost, I'd like to thank all of our new subscribers for clicking in. It's free. It don't cost you a single dime. I am grateful. I am appreciative. I truly thank you for subscribing and for appreciating the program that we put forth for you. Those of you who haven't subscribed, I ask that you subscribe now if you're new to the program. But I just wanted to thank you. We've been trying different formats, and I think we've finally hit on something that works. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. I just want to thank you, man. I don't want your effort for that click to go unappreciated. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Before we get started with the program, 2 things that we would like to get squared away. First and foremost, shout out to the family of Ricky Smiley for the death of his son, Brandon Smiley. For those of you who are not aware, incident. Big Ricky Smiley fan myself. Love Ricky Smiley. Okay. And just wanted to give our condolences, man. They say to pray for the family and pray for his mom and whatnot. But, you know, if you're a praying person, please pray that they have the strength to get through what they're going through. You're not supposed to bury your children. I myself have no children. That's why I went ahead and got pre-need funeral services. There's no one there to bury me. Jackie O, my lovely wife, my sugar bear. Hopefully I go before she does. See, Jackie has family and children and grandchildren and great-grand and whatnot. I don't have any children. So I can only imagine the pain and whatnot of losing a child. Okay? So, just wanted one and all to keep the Ricky Smiley family in your thoughts and prayers. Also, Tyree Nichols, down there in Memphis, Tennessee, they've released a video of the deadly police beating by 5 black police officers. And they were charged in the murder of Tyree Nichols. Before we delve into the program, I would like to throw up a little something here real quick pertaining to how black folk feel about what's going on with these 5 black police officers.
Not once did I say I agree.
Black male police officers, shut the fuck up. I don't even know why I have to explain this to y'all. Do you all not realize that you are not the population of people that anybody wants to hear from right now? Don't give us your opinions on this shit. Just stay quiet. The same way black people treated that Jussie Smollett case when he came out and he was clearly lying is how y'all should be right now. We really don't want to hear from none of y'all. During this time of mourning, what do you think that you can say that somebody won't take and twist? Nothing. You can't say shit, so don't. You're not gonna convince us that they're just bad apples. You're not gonna convince us that you're not one of them. And by one of them, I mean one of them officers that actually beat Tyree to death, or just one of them as in our enemy in the police department. None of that shit. You got that badge and that blue on. That makes you over there. Seem like white cops got black cops doing PR right now. Meanwhile, they're gonna take them black police officers and put them in jail with the swiftness. They don't like you. They not on your side. Stop letting that fucking badge fool you. You more us than them.
Pursue, because this isn't it. We cannot continue to let these things happen. There's no excuse. In no academy, on any level, are we taught to gang jump somebody. Because that's exactly what that was. Those people were criminals. They weren't officers. And we shouldn't call them officers. Those were criminals. And if you're not...
And to this black female cop right here, I truly believe that you are genuine and sincere on your condolences to the family. And I just want to say that I've never really seen so many cops, white cops, black cops, all different type of ethnicities cops, come and speak out so strongly and so quickly about this situation with 5 black cops that killed this man. It's crazy because I'm saying this because when we have so many white cops that have killed and murdered black men and women, excuse me, on the force, nobody comes out and speaks out and says anything. No cops. You don't hear anybody really getting on TikTok or Instagram, Facebook, and posting videos of how they feel and that they want them gone, this, that, and the third, when it's white cops that do it. Why is that? Why is it that when it's 5 black cops, everybody jumps on? But even if it's 1 white cop, everybody's scared to speak out. And I believe everyone is scared to speak out because they know if they speak out on a white officer and what they have done, and they go against the blue line when it comes to them, they know that shit's gonna hit the fan. Their job might be in jeopardy, their pensions, everything. But one thing they do know is that they don't have to worry about that when it comes to 5 black cops. Because within the force, you're still black. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, your skin tone is still the same color as mine. And they don't recognize you. Like they said before, ain't nobody coming to save them. No GoFundMe pages, you know what I'm saying? Nobody bringing casseroles to their house for their families. It's not happening. And it's crazy. Get it together, y'all.
Yeah, fam. You're more us than them, okay? But it seems like a lot of you black police officers just don't understand that. What we're about to delve into now, as we did on last week, is the tragedy of the human condition, greed, and whatnot. Now, a few of you may remember this story. This happened back in 2017 down in the Atlanta, Georgia area, Beaufort, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. Brother named George Young. He was a hard-working family man who often shadowed Atlanta celebrities as their bodyguard. Though he dedicated his work to protecting other people, a twist of fate one November night left him without the one thing he promised his clients: safety. November 17th, 2017, Mr. Young returned home from work and was gunned down as he walked to his front door. George's wife, Tia, told police she thought George's death was part of a gang initiation, but detectives wasn't buying it. Neither did George's family. Investigators also became suspicious of Tim Lee, a man that George Young's wife Tia initially referred to as her brother. Turns out he was anything but that. I'm giving you a synopsis before we get into the video. So as we're going forward, you have an understanding of what's going on here. Again, this all happened back in November 17th of 2017. George Young hired this guy, Tim, Mr. Lee, to work for his security company. They'll delve into that in the video. And even told Tim to move in with him and his family. Now, that's something perhaps you probably wouldn't want to do when you're married. Bring another man or another woman into your household. Family or friend. Moved him in because Tim was living out of hotels. But soon enough, what do you think started happening with Tim and Tia? The human condition. Range of emotions in the human condition. Love, hate, greed, envy, jealousy. I've told you once before on the program, there's a difference between envy and jealousy. Jealousy means I have something that you yourself can possess. A house, a car, things of that nature, material things, so to speak. Envy is I possess something that you will never have. You will never be president of the United States. You'll never be a Supreme Court justice. You'll never be a federal judge, depending on where you are in life right now. The human condition. Again, Mr. Young hired old Timmy here to work with his security company. During the investigation, police learned George had a $1 million insurance policy with his lovely wife Tia. Bumped this chick as the beneficiary. They've been married 22 years. Them folk believe Tia had him killed. Father of 3 sons. Be damned what her children will go through the rest of their lives. Had him killed so she could cash in on the policy and start a new life with this dusty ass nigga, Tim Lee. 2 were eventually arrested and charged with Mr. Young's murder. On April 6, 2019, the wife Tia was convicted of felony murder, aggravated assault, and 2 counts of criminal attempt to tamper with evidence. She was sentenced to life in prison, but she does have the possibility of parole. Old Tim Lee was found guilty of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and sentenced him to life without parole. Now, what we're going to do here is take a look at this case that went down in November of 2017.
This story takes us to Beaufort, Georgia. George Young has been married to T. Young for 22 years, and together they have 3 boys. George had his own security company where he provided armed security for high-profile celebrities, and he also installed security alarms under contract with Ackerman Security. He worked hard to support his family, working an average of 70 hours per week. He was able to provide his family with a nice home in a nice quiet neighborhood. George loved his wife and kids, and making sure his family was safe and well taken care of was his #1 priority. George had a kind heart and would help anyone in need. On November 16, 2017, George was working security for high-profile rapper Lil Yachty, who was launching his clothing line at the mall in Atlanta. George left the event and headed home after a long workday. As George placed his keys inside the door.
Now, we talk about there are no good men out there. And from the giddy up, you already see. This was a good brother. And this is what happens to most good black men. Not putting down the sisters, not putting up the brothers. because the white folks have us right where they want us right now. Gender war. Keep you niggas confused. It keeps you from becoming united. But you say, where are the good brothers? Here was one right here.
Gunshots rang out. His wife Tia, who was in her bedroom upstairs, heard the gunshots. The loud sounds alarmed her. She wasn't sure if it was gunshots or fireworks at first. Tia reports to the police that her brother Tim took his shotgun and went outside to look around, and the entire situation had her confused. She was unsure what was happening at the time. Sadly, Tim would enter the home and deliver Tia the most devastating news that she could ever hear. Her husband George was shot. They called 911, and police and paramedics raced to the home of the couple, but unfortunately, it was too late to save George. He was pronounced dead on the scene.
Developing this afternoon, the family of a murdered father says he was killed while coming home from working as a bodyguard. Police say someone shot him right on his front porch. Channel 2 Gwinnett County Bureau Chief Tony Thomas live at the home with a project the family says he planned to complete that could have helped solve his own murder. Tony.
Justin, the victim installed security cameras for a living on his house, just right up here under the roof line of the porch. You can see one just feet from where he was shot overnight, but that camera was not working. His family said.
Now, what do you think happened with the camera before we go another further? What do you think happened with the camera? He hired Tim Lee to work with him in his security company, which means you understood how cameras worked. Let's continue.
As he was just too busy taking care of his customers to work on his own house. His oldest son said he and his dad had talked about fixing the system just a few days ago. That's a conversation that will likely haunt that young man for a long time.
Because me and him have talked about fixing one of the cameras that's in front of the house. Like a couple days prior, he asked me to possibly help him with that. And this happened. It's like, wow.
Dylan Young says he can't think of any reason someone would want to kill his 43-year-old father, George.
It's the hardest thing I've ever been through.
George's wife, Tia, says she was asleep upstairs around midnight when she heard 2 gunshots. Her brother went outside.
And he said, just call 911. I said, what is it? Was somebody shot? He said, yes. And I said, who? And he said, George.
The family says they found George in a pool of blood on the front porch, his keys in the lock.
Now, first off, does this chick look distressed at all? George's sister's going to get into that a bit later. But does this chick seem distressed at all? Talking about her husband of 22 years, the father of her 3 children. No, you know where this is going. You know where this is going. Let's continue.
Police say they can't find anyone who hurt a car, and there's no signs of robbery.
They said whoever did this may have been waiting for him or maybe a gang initiation type thing.
Young was working a side job Thursday night as a bodyguard for rapper Lil Yachty at Lenox Mall. Police say the job may be unrelated to the crime.
Jokes.
Yeah.
The family prays, even though their camera wasn't working, maybe someone else's was, or at least somebody heard something.
He was a really good guy. Everybody loves George.
Now, do you see any tears coming from this chick at all? Crocodile tears, the old heads used to call it when I was a kid. Any tears at all for the death of a brother who would stand up? Because first off, chick, George looked like he had better options than you. And you get into it with some dusty nigga. We continue.
Says while he worked sometimes in executive protection, he did not carry a gun.
Looking at the crime scene, investigators immediately determined that this was a targeted attack. Many neighbors were shocked that a crime like this could take place in such a peaceful area. In a flash, the police rule out robbery as a motivation. They didn't steal anything since his phone, wallet, or anything else was still with him. The showcase is retrieved, but no weapon was discovered. Detectives turned to the individuals who lived in the home. No one had any information that could help investigators. Authorities informed George's sister, Ivy, that her brother had been murdered. His sister and the rest of his family lived in South Carolina. Within a few hours, she was driving to Georgia and contacting Tia to try to gain clarification about what happened to her brother. Tia informed her that the police believed it to be a case of mistaken identity, maybe part of a gang initiation. This was confusing to George's sister because George lived in a pretty lovely, peaceful area, and she would never expect something so horrible to happen in his neighborhood. She felt completely safe every time she visited him. As authorities continued their investigation, they couldn't find anyone who had anything bad to say about George. People described him as a person who would go above and beyond for everyone. He was such a kind person. He did nothing but...
Where are the good men? It's the battle cry that I tend to hear. Where are the good men? Here he is right here. Here he is right here. Him and millions more like him. Black men ain't shit. Black men don't know how to lead. Black men don't want to take care of their families, this, that, and the third. But I digress. We continue.
But work hard. From very early in the morning till late at night, he worked. Police immediately questioned if George's employment providing protection for celebrities may be connected to the murder. They wondered if anything occurred at his workplace that evening with the rapper Lil Yachty. Had someone followed him home after he got into a fight? It really didn't seem at all random to investigators. However, after a few calls to his coworkers, they concluded that none of that was the case. So, why would somebody want to assassinate George Young? The devoted husband and father of 3 was shot and killed on his front doorstep by a cold-blooded murderer, and the police had no suspects. The theory about George being killed by gang initiation was actually brought up by George's wife the day after he was killed. Tia told George's sister Ivy the same story. George's sister Ivy believed her sister-in-law's theory about the murder, but detectives were not convinced, and they never told Tia that they believed it was gang-related. Tia would continue to provide explanations that...
Now, my thing becomes, what would possess the wife to think that this was gang-related? What in the hell does she know about gangs? Does she look like she know anything about that life? You can tell from the giddy up, it's a cover-up.
Would cause people to scratch their heads. Police questioned Tia and her brother Tim Lee the night of the murder. When George was slain, they were both in the home. Investigators noticed that their stories didn't match up, and they also noticed that when Tia first called 911, she informed the operator that she believed the noise outside to be fireworks, since her neighbors often fired them off. Investigators wondered why she would call 911 if she believed the noise to be fireworks that her neighbors often set off. Cops weren't the only ones who were beginning to have more suspicion for Tia. George's sister also grew suspicious of Tia. After 6 hours of traveling from South Carolina, George's sister Ivy anticipated seeing Tia in a state of emotional collapse when she got to his home, but she asserts that what she really discovered wasn't a grieving widow at all. When she arrived at George and Tia's home, Tia gave her a hug and said, "Hey," with no tears or anything else in her voice. This was very strange to George's sister because she was around Tia when Tia's father passed, and she saw Tia distraught and crying continuously. Ivy reports,
now, when it's your kinfolk, you tend to have a sixth sense. I don't care if you all got along, if you all were at odds, estranged or whatever. You tend to have a sixth sense about those of you with the same bloodline. You heard what the man just said. When it was your daddy, you was all tore up. See, here's what the old folk told us when we were children. When I die, don't cry for me. I lived a full life. My mom passed in her 80s. My dad passed in his 80s. Big Mom passed in her 90s. They told you they lived a full life. I'm married to Jackie O, my sugar bear. I would be distraught as hell if something happened to Jackie O. She says she strolled in here. This chick act like it was just another ordinary day.
It's that nobody seemed unhappy at her brother's home. Everyone seemed to be on vacation, like George was not just murdered on the front steps of the home. There was no mourning. When Ivy watched the story on the local news, she saw that the news outlet referred to Tim as Tia's brother. George's sister knew that Tia didn't have any brothers, and Tim was not a brother.
That is where the story begins to turn. Chick, you ain't got no damn brothers. So the sister already suspicious. As well as I would be if I knew you had no damn brothers. Because automatically, if you talking about this cat your brother, that leads me to believe from the jump that there are some nefarious goings on.
Stated that Tim answered Tia's phone when she was trying to reach Tia regarding the details of her brother's death, and that this was disturbing to her. She questioned who it was answering Tia's phone. Tim explained to Ivy who he was, and that George found out that Tim lost his job, so he let him work for his security company, and when he found out that he was struggling and living out of motels, he invited him to come stay with him and his wife and kids. Ivy was familiar with Tim. They grew up in the same town as her and her brother George. They were never close to Tim. She viewed Tim as quiet and rather odd. Authorities brought both Tim and Tia in for questioning 2 days after the murder, and this is when detectives discovered that they were not really related. Tia informs police that Tim isn't actually her brother, which is one of the major revelations. He was merely a friend of the family looking for a place to live. That was a major turning point.
Now, again, something goes down with a loved one. The last thing I'm going to tell you, the police, the investigator, the detective, that this is my brother. No, this ain't the time for that. You can pull that shit off when you're at some get-together, some barbecue, this, that, and the third. But my spouse has been gunned down in front of the house. I'm not telling you that this is my damn brother. Things start to turn.
Point for investigators. This coupled with the fact that their versions of what happened that night kept changing. From the Young's neighbor next door came a bombshell. Investigators received a call from the Young's next door neighbors while Tia and Tim were being interviewed. The next door neighbor said that he looked out his window as soon as he heard gunshots that evening and saw what he thought to be Tim. He was sprinting from George's Lincoln Navigator that was parked in the driveway to the Young's house. According to the neighbor, after seeing the guy take something out of the SUV, he ran inside the home. Tim was questioned about it when detectives entered the interrogation room again. They asked him did he ever go out to the vehicle for any reason, to which he responded, "I was taking the tracker off the vehicle." Tim states that George instructed him to install a GPS tracker on his truck so that, in the unlikely event that anything were to happen to him, they could still locate the vehicle. But why was he in such a hurry to take the tracker off the vehicle if George had really requested him to do so? He explained that he was acting on instinct.
Now, first off, look at this dusty ass nigga. And look at Timmy. I mean, look at George. So this chick leveled down. But you know what they say, familiarity either brings distance or brings closeness. Maybe old Tim was always in the house. Okay. Maybe George Young worked long hours. And I guess she felt she wasn't getting affection and attention and things of that nature. Look at this nigga. Then you talk about the type of brothers that are out there. Look at this dusty nigga and look at Mr. Young. But this is what you wanted. And the brother who made the serene, beautiful life that you live possible, you would rather have this nigga. What was the song? I can't be in two places at one time. If you think you lonely now, wait until the night, girl.
Because he wanted to keep George safe. He stated that he didn't want his friends or family to know that George had been trafficking weapons from Florida to North Carolina, and that one of the participants had come looking for him. According to Tim, that person had visited them at home and informed Tia that George owed him money. When Tia was questioned by the police, she didn't have a clue what Tim was talking about. Investigators spoke to George's sister again, and she informed them of the life insurance policy her brother and Tia had at one point. Tia had only hours earlier informed the police that she didn't think a life insurance policy existed. Tia claimed she thought all life insurance policies had lapsed. They quickly learned that George and Tia had $1 million life insurance policy, and Tia was the sole beneficiary. Despite Tia claiming that she thought the policies were no longer active, they learned that she called to start processing the life insurance policy within 24 hours of her husband's murder.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the epitome of betrayal. The old folks said it all the time. You never bring another man or woman into your home to live if you're married. Don't care if it's family or not. Epitome of betrayal. Dying at the hands of someone who's supposed to be your life partner. And sitting next to your children fake crying with her disgusting ass. As you know, what's in the dark will come to light. Man worked hard to provide for his family. Married 22 years, and his wife does this to him. Not just him, his 3 sons. His family, her family. You didn't love him no more. Why didn't you just leave? Again, the human condition. Greed got in the way. She wanted the damn insurance policy so she could live a life with the dusty nigga who didn't build shit. Now, how you married and don't know we got a damn life insurance policy? On either the one of you. Jackie O and I got into a debate some years ago when I had to let her know that whatever your medical issues are, I need to know. If we got an insurance policy on one or the other, you need to know. Now, to me, it wouldn't be worth killing Jackie because I would only get $30,000 from my job. When I die, Jackie gets $250,000, so it'd be better for her to kill me. But no, what I was trying to explain to her, and to a lot of you who need to understand this, if we had to call the ambulance to our home because Jackie had some kind of medical issue, and they asking me, well, is she diabetic? Oh, no. Does she have congestive heart failure? Oh, no. What type of medicine does she take? Oh, no. Does she have any medical issues? Oh, no. Is she allergic to anything? Oh, no. Nigga, what do you know? How do you not know this about your own spouse? And that night, me and Jackie sat down and went through the problems with each of us. How you don't know what's wrong with your spouse? How in the hell you don't know there's a life insurance policy? When I got the life insurance at my job, I made sure Jackie knew and what the amount was and what the paperwork is when I die. Now, that's a little thing. I don't know how to go about getting her insurance and whatnot, so I'm going to have to get her to print out a sheet of paper to put in our records. Here's who I call. Here's who I contact. Here's what I do. But, chick, you know there was a damn insurance policy. Don't play. Hope the money went to her sons. But it will not bring back their dad.
Investigators realized that with all of the commotion at the home the day of George's murder, the kids never woke up. Investigators conducted searches while moving in and out of rooms, including the room of the children. There were several loud conversations going on. There were several individuals present at the home, including the medical examiner, fire vehicles, ambulances, police, CSI photographers, and neighbors who were walking by, and the kids never woke up. They discovered that the reason is because Tia gave her children sleeping pills. Then when Tia became the main suspect.
So, in legal terms, this shit is premeditated. See, there was a joke told by a comedian. You remember Def Comedy Jam back in the day? Those of you of a certain age. Where it was a Muslim guy talking about, why can't the baby, what you mean the baby can't have a Christmas? It's Christmas time. Like he said, on Christmas Eve, because I used to tell people this shit. On Christmas Eve, said that his old man gave them sleeping pills. They woke up December 26th. Okay. Now about where our gifts. Hell, you missed Christmas. But premeditated. You gave your children sleeping pills, which means what? Your ass was in on it.
Suspects in George's murder. And not only in the eyes of investigators. Ivy also believed that Tim and Tia killed her brother, and she told her sister-in-law that. According to police, Tim was following George's every move the night he was killed using a GPS tracker he installed on his vehicle and an app on his...
Now, this is what I'm talking about. He brought you in, George did, brought Tim Lee in, taught you the game, nigga. And you're using what he taught you against him. How did you learn to do this? On a GPS system, tracking devices. That's all in the security company that George Young was running. And then this nigga.
His phone, which told investigators that only he could have known when he was returning home. Investigations also turned up what they believed to be a second reason for George's murder, in addition to the life insurance money. Tia no longer wanted to be with George, regardless of what she told police. Tia and George's marriage.
You no longer wanted to be with the brother. And the questions is asked many times. Why wouldn't you just leave? Because if you left, you wouldn't maintain the same lifestyle. Then your dumb ass shouldn't have went on TV, bitch. You had guilt all over your face. Crying with no tears. What the old heads call it? Crocodile tears. The hell did George see in this chick from the giddy up? We continue.
According to friends and relatives, was in trouble. And her phone contained plenty of evidence to support that. When he was returning home. Investigations also turned up what they believed to be a second reason for George's murder, in addition to the life insurance money. Tia no longer wanted to be with George, regardless of what she told police. Tia and George's marriage, according to friends and relatives, was in trouble. And her phone contained plenty of evidence to support that. The messages Tia and Tim exchanged were highly passionate. They were very sexual in nature. They were things you would send to your spouse or wife, your lover or girlfriend, but most certainly not to your brother.
Right under this man's nose. So black women want to talk about men ain't shit. Black men want to talk about black women ain't shit. Everyone has their issues. All races have their issues. This man built a life. You heard the sister say they lived in a great neighborhood. The hell did Tim do? Except come in, go behind your back. If she'd have ever approached me, I'd have told her, hey, no, bag up with that, mine. Tim, my boy. I couldn't imagine doing him that. And this brother here has got me out the dirt. The human condition.
In April, he and Tia were taken back into police headquarters for interrogation as evidence against them grew. The police inquired about their relationship right away. They placed the evidence of the explicit emails they sent to each other right in front of Tia. They wanted to let her know that they were aware of their relationship. Tia admitted to having a relationship with Tim, but claimed they stopped the affair after the murder. Tim, unlike Tia, refused.
Whoa. You stopped the relationship after the murder. Shit already going sideways. Why'd you get involved from the giddy up? But that's neither here nor there. You stopped the relationship afterwards. Now they finna start flipping on each other. You know, the white folk getting your business. They always say that if you ever want a nigga to tell the truth, have a white person ask the question. Niggas have a real hard time lying to white folk. For some odd reason. You quit the relationship after the murder.
Refused to make any admissions. He immediately requested a lawyer when asked about his relationship with Tia. Tim and Tia were arrested and then charged with the murder of George. Police say that he and Tia planned to murder George in order to get George's life insurance payout and to be together. They believe that Tia was only pretending to be grieving in her TV interviews. Them and Tia both entered a not guilty plea in court. They were jailed until their trial since the court denied their request for bail.
She once cried in front of television cameras after her husband was killed, and now she is on trial for his murder. George Young was shot and killed on his front porch after coming home from work one night in Gwinnett County. We covered this story extensively. Prosecutors believe his wife and a friend were having an affair and killed him for his $1 million insurance policy.
See, I just don't understand. You traded in a hero for a zero. You can already tell Lee was a dusty nigga. I don't understand women like her. You had it all. Loving, hardworking husband. Roof over your head. She did a lot of damage to the family. Her sons may never trust a woman again. The acting, the lying, the betrayal against their father. If you didn't want him, divorce him. Awful. My prayers go out to him. You traded the hero for a zero. But you want to talk about how black men ain't shit. Prime example of how you can stress the fact that even though some of us may be kind-hearted and natured, you can't help everybody, including friends and some family members as well. You know? Especially in this day and age, loyalty ain't like it was 30 some odd years ago. People who you think you can trust are the first ones to start hating and want what you got. And will go above and beyond to try to get it. Watch out who you let in your circles, fam. George was a great man. Helped his friend in a time of need. And this nigga betrayed him in the ultimate way.
She was charged in the crime. We spoke to Tia Young as she pleaded for justice in the case, flanked by her children.
I'm going to do it by myself. Everybody loved George.
Well, a sharp contrast to that portrayal the prosecution painted in court today. 11 Alive's Latasha Givens was there.
So many people felt for this wife as they watched her cry on television cameras about her husband's murder. But today in court, it was the couple's close friend who says Tia Young and her...
That's my question. If you know that your ass was involved, why would you go on television? People watching you can tell that your ass ain't for real. Remember the chick Smith who drove her children into the river and killed them and then said a black man did it? But as you're on TV, where are the emotions? Degenerates. Mr. Young was a good man. People see your kindness as weakness, though. People see that. Gave this nigga Lee the opportunity to earn some money and get on his feet. Didn't want to be supportive. They just want to use you. And it's sad. What did George see in this chick?
Her co-defendant both began acting oddly right after Young's death.
That's hearsay. Judge, I'm going to object. Objection, Your Honor.
This is how the murder trial of George Young began.
He's eliciting hearsay statements.
The defense not holding back on the state's first witness, Young's former boss and friend, Rob Strickland.
He was my go-to guy.
Young's wife, Tia Young, and the couple's live-in friend, Harvey Timothy Lee, are accused of killing him for a $1 million insurance policy. Investigators believe Tia and Lee were having an affair and conspired to murder Young. Strickland's wife and defendant Tia are cousins. Strickland says Tia called them moments after Young was shot. Strickland testified he felt the defendants acted suspiciously when he came to the family's home soon after. He stated while the crime scene tape was still up, Lee talked about sending the children to school the next day, and Tia asked if he would help her find Young's insurance policy.
Now, that's a thing that's weird to me. Nigga, you don't have the authority to send my children to school. That's on the mama. But you can already tell as we progress through the video, you yourself, you understand human emotion. She's crying, but there are no tears. This nigga wants to tell the children, after their father has been brutally murdered in front of their home, his punk ass did it, that they should go to school. Nigga, you ain't my daddy. I ain't going no damn school. I ain't going nowhere till we find out what the happened to my old man. We continue.
Strickland also testified he noticed the home security camera was not connected. He says that was odd considering George Young worked as a security guard and had his own employees. Thursday afternoon.
Now, this is what I was talking about. How you got a security company where you're a bodyguard and where you deal with cameras and your own shit ain't working? Maybe somebody sabotaged your deal. Tim Lee. You got a tracker on the brother, and you said that you went to take the tracker off the vehicle. My thing is, did George Young even know you had a damn tracker on there? I believe you had a tracker on there so that you knew his whereabouts while you was doing the Bojangles with Lil Mama. She knew too. She probably suggested it. But nigga, it ain't on you to tell my kids whether or not the fuck they can go to school.
The prosecution played Tia's 911 call. I just heard a gunshot. In the call, she refers to the co-defendant as her brother. And she tells the 911 dispatcher she doesn't want police to come with lights and sirens because she didn't want to wake up her kids. Okay, they're going to come lights and sirens, dude.
You didn't want lights and sirens. Something happened to Jackie O, nigga, light it up. I want enough light to look under every rock, every bush, behind every building. You light it up around here. See, in instances like this, nigga, you tell on yourself. Because your emotions are so fractured. You're not a good liar. You think what you're saying is to cover up, but you're under stress because it's easy to do things when no one is questioning you. But oh, baby, when the questions start coming, that's when your ass start to nut up.
To the severity of the issue. Former crime scene investigator Jordan Drum was called to the stand next. The defense questioned if the crime scene was truly secure, refuting a checklist that may not have included everyone on the scene. And the defense also questioned why a photographer with the show The First 48 was allowed near the crime scene. Then they expressed concerns about the jurors having open lunch around the courthouse where they could potentially hear attorneys talking about the case. That's something Judge Tracy Mason acknowledged and may change when trial resumes tomorrow.
Now, where in the hell did the First 48 come from? They were on the scene fairly quickly. They were the first ones to put it out back in 2017, 2018. A lot of premeditation going on in this murder.
Gwinnett County, I'm Latasha Givens, 11 Alive News.
Tia did not receive any of the life insurance money. When the insurance company found out she was a suspect, they withheld the funds and refused to release them until they wait to see what happens in court. George and Tia's 3 boys have been living with Tia's mother ever since their mother's incarceration. Tia does not let Ivy see her nephews anymore because she accused her of murder. On April 6th, a jury returned a verdict. Young was found guilty of felony murder, aggravated assault and 2 counts of criminal attempt to tamper with evidence. Lee was convicted of malice murder, felony murder and aggravated assault.
Number 2 this week, the woman found guilty of killing her husband.
Now, here's something I don't understand. How in the hell are you not able to let the aunt see the kids if your ass in prison? Now, I know Tia's mom ain't going along with her wishes. Because Tia, in fact, killed her freaking husband. But it's scary the things people will do for money. Just evil. And I pray for the children and the family. It's disgusting. And it's sad how he worked hard and was taken advantage of by those he woke up every day to provide for. An honorable brother.
To cash in on life insurance money, we'll find out how long she will spend in prison. A jury found
murder, aggravated assault,
Run it back a little bit here.
and 2 counts of criminal attempt to tamper with evidence. Lee was convicted of malice murder, felony murder, and aggravated assault.
Number 2 this week, the woman found guilty of killing her husband to cash in on life insurance money. We'll find out how long she will spend in prison. A jury found Tia Young guilty of felony murder, aggravated assault, and 2 counts of criminal attempt to tamper with evidence. Her alleged lover, Harvey Timothy Lee, was convicted of malice murder, felony murder, and aggravated assault. Tia's husband, George Young, was shot and killed on his front porch after coming home from work in November of 2017. Sentencing will be held on Thursday.
On April 11th, the 2 were sentenced. Lee will serve life in prison without the possibility of parole. Young was sentenced to life plus 3 years, but does have the possibility of parole. What happened to George Young was beyond tragic. He worked extremely hard to make sure his family was taken care of. He loved and trusted his wife, and she betrayed him. He thought he was helping a friend by employing him and giving him a place to stay, and this friend also betrayed him. George was a great man and didn't deserve what happened to him. I'm sure he never thought that with all of the possible dangers he faced on the job working security, the real danger would be right under his own roof. My condolences to his friends and family.
Just say it. Now, my thing is, do you think she should get parole? Do you think she should be eligible? He's not. Hard-working brother. This man went out of his way to provide for his freaking family, man. And just the way that young kinfolk will do you. List in the comments, man. Do you think she should get parole? Would you yourself be so caught up in the human emotions of greed? There are people like that, your own family members. I'm going through something like that myself. My own sister, I have to run through probate court because of the way she went about securing my mom's home. And I'll tell you real quick about that. I used to be a paralegal. Didn't work in probate. I was a creditor side bankruptcy paralegal. But when I ran a title search on my mom's home, a year before my mom died, my sister's name was on my mom's home. My mom's name was nowhere on her own home. Contacted an attorney. I'm from Gary, Indiana. Contacted an attorney in Michigan City, Indiana. He ran a title search again and told me, Mr. Shackelford, there's something wrong here. First off, even if your mom put your sister on her title or deed, her name would still be on there as well. So it's 2 years. We're still going through it. But tell me what you think. Let me know what you think about what's going on here with you getting with this dusty nigga who ain't built shit. See, I'm a Capricorn. I'm into loyalty. You're loyal to me, I'm loyal to your ass. But there are people who don't think that way. You killed your own husband to be with a bum to get $1 million. This is 2023. Some of you understand this, some of you don't. $1 million ain't shit today. When homes are going for $400,000 and $500,000. How long you think that's going to last? So let's break it down. You get $1 million, tax-free. Is the home paid for, or do you have to pay off the house? You probably going to get this nigga a new car. You probably going to go out and floss your damn self with a Range Rover or a Mercedes or a Navigator or an Escalade. How long you think $1 million is going to last in 2023? What happens if no one knew that this guy killed him, that Tim Lee killed George Young, how long do you think it's going to be before you all turn on each other? Because once you get the money, chick, do you really want to cut this nigga in on the profits or no? I don't think so. I don't think so. Do you think she should get parole? He doesn't get it. He pulled the trigger, though. But he pulled the trigger because of her. Do you think she should be eligible for parole? What do you think has happened to the family structure? What do you think has happened? Families torn apart over greed. A man who gave you the life that women are out here searching for. Kevin Samuels would have called him a high-value man. Man started his own business, had to be pulling in six figures. And because you don't have the excitement, the butterflies, this, that, and the third of when a relationship starts. Big Mom told me when I was young that make sure you know how to budget your money, because when the courting season is over, y'all have to eat at home. When you're first dating, you go out to eat a lot. But as we settle into life, all that's over with. She wanted the excitement. She wanted the thrill of being married. She wanted the thrill of the relationship. That's Walt Disney, fam. That's freaking Walt Disney fantasy. Life is boring. Marriage is boring. Consider this. Why do you think entertainment costs so much? A concert, going out to eat, vacation. Entertainment is expensive. Why? Because life is boring. And that's how they get you. You want to go see Beyonce in concert? It's going to cost you. You want to go see Jennifer Hudson sing? It's going to cost you. You want to go see some Tyler Perry play at a movie theater? It's going to cost you. You want to see Eddie Murphy or Cat Williams or Mike Epps or someone do stand-up comedy? It's going to cost you. Entertainment is expensive because life is boring. And you want to take the $1 million that this man set up for your well-being and spend it on this dusty nigga who had nowhere to live, who built nothing, who wasn't shit. You wanted the money that this man set aside for you for when he died. He wanted you to take care of his 3 children and to make sure that you were okay. See, that's what a man does. I don't want Jackie O out here struggling when I'm gone. That's why the insurance policy is $250,000. And I'm going to take out another policy. We plan on buying a home within the next 2 years. I have VA. I don't want my wife struggling when I'm gone. Jackie doesn't drive. When Jackie has to go to the doctor, Jackie O works from home. When Jackie has to go to the doctor, fam, I'm off on Mondays and Tuesdays. That's when she schedules her appointments. Jackie wants something to eat. I'll get up at 3 in the morning and drive across Dallas, Fort Worth to go get her whatever she wants, because I don't cook. But when I come home from work at 2, 3 in the morning, Jackie O gets off her ass and will cook me breakfast. I love breakfast food. Teamwork. So you want to take the $1 million. Let's look at $1 million and we'll get back to the video. $1 million ain't shit today, fam. $1 million ain't shit. What do homes go for in Atlanta? 4, 5, 600,000? Get a couple of nice cars. You gonna buy this dusty nigga Tim a car? You know he want an Escalade or something real swell. You want something swell. And then what you gonna do? How long is it before you burn through $1 million? Greed is the title of this week's show. The devastation that you've brought into the family. Your family members, his family members, your own children. All for the love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil. Not money. This man provided you a good life, man. But instead of wanting the hero, you want this dusty ass nigga right here. That's what you want. This dusty nigga. Once he got what he wanted from you, he was perhaps going to move on. He didn't want to be tied down to you. He wanted to take his new car, his newfound wealth, his money, his new lifestyle, and probably go get with a younger chick that probably ain't got no damn kids. Never satisfied. That's what that is. Now, put in the comments. Do you think she should get parole? He doesn't get it. He pulled the trigger, though. But he pulled the trigger because of her. Do you think she should be eligible for parole? What do you think has happened to the family structure? What do you think has happened? Families torn apart over greed. A man who gave you the life that women are out here searching for. Kevin Samuels would have called him a high-value man. Man started his own business, had to be pulling in six figures. And because you don't have the excitement, the butterflies, this, that, and the third of when a relationship starts. Big Ma told me when I was young that make sure you know how to budget your money, because when the courting season is over, y'all have to eat at home. When you're first dating, you go out to eat a lot. But as we settle into life, all that's over with. She wanted the excitement. She wanted the thrill of being married. She wanted the thrill of the relationship. That's Walt Disney, fam. That's freaking Walt Disney fantasy. Life is boring. Marriage is boring. Put down in the comments what you think. Again, shout out to the Ricky Smiley family, mine. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers. The youngster that was killed by the police down there in Memphis, Brother Tyree Nichols. Keep him in your thoughts and prayers. But put down in the comments what you think. Also, like, subscribe, and comment. I meant to say that up front. Okay. Thank you for those who support the program. Got a couple of cash apps. In the words of Richard Pryor, it was some twos and fews, but let me tell you something. It's greatly appreciated. Whether you give $1 or $10,000, it's greatly appreciated. Helps us to run this program. But what do you think? Sad state of affairs. Human emotion. The human element of life. Would you kill your husband or your wife to be with your side piece? Are they worth it? Are they everything that the person you are with are? I doubt it. I truly doubt it. Thank you for logging in. PushGapRadios.com. Never average, never mediocre. Online, on point, and on the money. Follow us on Facebook at PushGapRadios.com. PushGap. Second word is radios.com. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. And remember this. The people who follow us aren't followers. Pray until something happens. God always provides. At PushGapRadios.com, the power is in the name. Don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to push to 200. We're at 175. And again, as I told you in the beginning, each and every one of you are greatly freaking appreciated. Thank you. We love you for just clicking that button. My mother thanks you. My father thanks you. Jackie O thanks you. And most of all, I thank you as well. Shaka 401 in the main event on PushGapRadios.com. Dallas, baby. And we're out.
PushGapRadio.com. We finna take over this town like street sweepers.
That's gangsta denim.
Never average, never mediocre. We're online, on point, and on the money.
Shaka Ford won in the main event only on PushGapRadio.com.
PushGapRadio.com. It's Dallas, baby.
Hey, this is Scott Moran. It's not just the brothers that listen to PushGapRadio.com. For the hottest new show in the Metroplex, it's Shackleford 1 in the main event on PushGapRadio.com. Hamilton Park, Dallas, Fort Worth. Dallas, baby.
PushGapRadio.com. We want to be your official Dallas internet station.